We flipped a coin, okay? You and me. You and me. CoinFlip is sacred.
Y'all ready for a show today, baby? Go time, baby. We've been waiting all week for this. This is where it happens right here, man. We man up, we stand up. We man up, we stand up. We all we got. We all we got. We all we got. We all we got. We all we got.
Hit anything that moves. We're playmakers, man. We the best, nothing less.
You don't like this? Trust me, you don't like it.
We're between the white lines. This is football. Welcome to the big league. I won the toss. I took the football. Drive it down that throat.
Are you out of your mind? Are you out of your skull? Hey, every season is full of defining moments. Let's make this day a defining moment for us in our quest. Game time! Game time!
Welcome, everybody, to week 7 of the NFL season. This is the coin flip. Gup with you as usual. New time and date for this. I mentioned this the other day. We're going to go Friday mornings. And luckily we are. Perfect scenario of what happened. The Raiders Bucks game gets moved to Sunday afternoon, was Sunday Night Football. And then the Cardinals Seahawks game get moved to Sunday Night Football. When we saw that, at least me, I was praying that DK would leave Seahawks Cardinals on the slate. Didn't think they would, because they hardly ever do things right in that scenario, but they did. The thing I didn't think they would do is move the Bucks Raiders onto the main slate, add them to the afternoon. So a little late scrambling. I was on the ball this week, got my rankings out yesterday afternoon. Didn't even know the Raiders game would get moved up. So going to have to redo all of those again. It's just a scenario we've been dealing with all week. And it's a reason why I talked about, we're pushing the stuff back a little bit, because it's just, information that just doesn't matter in a sense, especially, now you got, Tom Brady, Ronald Jones, Josh Jacobs, Ruggs, Godwin, Evans, Gronk, all these guys just got implemented into the main slate. Look at the impact. This ain't like Kuchar's in now because DJ's out. That's a pretty simple, change in rankings, ownership, blah, blah, blah. And we just infiltrated this slate with a massive amount of potential plays, and ownership's going to change. It's just a unique situation we're dealing with. So, I may leave it Friday mornings even going next year, because it does still give time. There's not a big rush to get stuff out Wednesday, Thursday, and we're defining our schedule a little bit better, as a team, on what we're putting out, trying to get almost some kind of podcast, and eventually we'll be doing live YouTubes on almost everything, if not everything, going into 2021, that there's something new every day. So, the college football pod drops yesterday, NASCAR drops. I think he does it Wednesday night or Thursday. So we'll do this Friday morning. Gives me more time to kind of digest, understand, get more accurate rankings, projections, even in a normal year. I think it's going to be an advantage, because you still got 48 hours ish, over 48 hours actually, to digest it before we go live on Audible, which is the most valuable piece. And the premium members can attest to that. You get the latest information and kind of my, strategy theory. Last week's Audible was great. Had some great plays in there, some mentions. I like this schedule. Definitely always open to suggestions from you guys. We try to adhere to what you guys like. We'll see how this goes. I don't think this is too late in the week by any means. If I'd have done this yesterday, we wouldn't even talked about the Bucks Raiders. So for the guys that aren't members, certainly helps you. Last week for me, it was an up and down week. Didn't have Henry, so that obviously makes it tough. Had enough pieces between Minnesota, Atlanta, all that kind of stuff that it wasn't a bloodbath for me. And I actually did well. I can't remember if it was Saturday night or Monday Night Football, but did well there enough to kind of get a little bit of it all back. And then luckily with our great content from the other providers, I've done well this week. Wednesday night baseball, won 4,000 on about 600 in on the World Series. Game 2, game 1, I broke even, was close. And then like an idiot, I had 2 lineups in a 333 for game 1. Game 2, I decided to put 2 in the 180, a little bit smaller contest, more leverage, and then I would just put 1 in the 333. So same bankroll invested, just about a little hair more. But knowing I did that, I sat there and stared to say I should put my second one in the 333 because this is going to kill me if it does something. Fast forward 3 hours later, that lineup would have won the 333. It would have chopped with 4 other guys, I think. So about $20-something thousand mistake, but. I got to be true to myself. It's bankroll management. I had a set amount of bankroll I was going to put in. I could have just put 2 back into 333 and moved on, but I still, at the end of the day, I still 5-6x. So I did the right thing, but it kills you when you sit there and see that situation. But that college football had some runners in there last night. Bobby had 2 or 3 in the top 20. I fell out a little bit at the end, but Bobby did well. I think he finished 6th in the little. It had a decent amount for a 1-day slate. Got a 3-game slate tonight, which is awesome. Pretty decent pots for college football as well. And then we got a good slate tomorrow. 12 games there. NASCAR's hot. We got MLB again tonight, game 3. Looking forward to that. Pitchers duel. Be interesting to see the strategy there. There's so many combinations in the showdown slate for baseball. And then, if you do get stud pitchers, most people are going to try to jam them. So the strategy there is unique to me. And I enjoy watching. I like playoff baseball. I don't really watch anything else regular season that much. But I do enjoy the playoff baseball. So that'll be fun tonight. We got, so baseball going tonight, college football going tonight, repping up for college football tomorrow. We got showdown golf, late golf, doesn't tee off till probably 3 hours from now. So that's awesome. Still got time to tinker around this morning. Things are cranking and rolling over at Gups Corner. So if you want to join, if you're not a member, you can join now. We got our March to the Masters promo. I'm sure you've heard about. We are giving away a limited release Scotty Cameron T22 Newport 2, super rare release. You can't find it in the retail market no more. So aftermarket, you're looking at close to $1,000. If you want to find it, we're going to give you one for free, unopened in the bag still. A great gift for someone, especially come up on Christmas. Maybe you win it and give someone else or give yourself a gift. That always works. All you have to do is be a member. So sign up, get in, give us a try. You're in the drawing. Our current members, longtime members they all got offers to upgrade as well. So if they upgrade during this time period to the full site access, they get into the drawing. If they're already a full access member, they're already in the drawing. So plenty of ways to get in. Starting Monday, we'll probably start getting a little closer. We're gonna have a few giveaways going up. The other ones will be more of, which is what I'm gonna say right now is important. Rate and review us on iTunes, subscribe to us on YouTube, like us on Instagram and Facebook. Doing all those things will get you into the drawing. Those that are old school, they know that I stand by that. I will always have a winner out of our big drawings, out of the rate and review on iTunes. That is big to us. It helps us. We've grown so much year over year. YouTube is going to be a big focus on this one. So I'm going to give you a triple entry if you're a subscriber to us on YouTube. We're trying to grow that channel. We're going to do a better job. JB and I talked a lot this week on getting our videos and some stuff up and even doing where I can do my own video, say it's the Cup with Gup, or I want to do some tutorials and stuff on our tools and videos for the public videos. So you guys can kind of check out what we have and we can talk about more of how to use that stuff. I think that's going to be awesome for us. That's a big focus going into 2021 is to grow that channel and get you guys more content out there. People seem to love the YouTube. So we'll go down that route and see how we do there. Also, a lot of people have taken advantage of this, and we appreciate it because we have 2 or 3 great pieces of merchandise that we're working on to bring out, for 2021. And so we're trying to clear out inventory. Obviously, we discounted it 40%. We've had a ton of people buy in the last week and a half. So that's great. If you don't have a shirt or you want to get another one, people that get them, we've had multiple people buy multiple. I've bought several, this isn't one, but double because they're so comfortable and soft. And so, if I want to wear it a couple times or not have to worry about keeping it clean because I can have a backup or something like that. We have people buy multiple ones, especially the Masters shirt, because that's a limited edition type deal. People love that shirt. So you can use the code Augusta and get 40% off there, gupscorner.com/store. Listener League is up. I've already put it out there earlier. I'll add it into the podcast. It's obviously on Twitter at Gups Corner. If you're in the Slack, you know where to find it. Last week's winner in a flash, he had Tannehill, Henry, Robinson, Julio, Brown, Cooks, Irv Smith, Thielen, and the Dolphins D. A very solid lineup, well put together. I obviously didn't have Henry. I mean, he was my, I think, number 1 or number 2 ranked guy. Just went with the fade there. Not very smart. I wouldn't say smart. It just wasn't, didn't work out. Those things happen. You got to take. I talked about this the other day. I was on a guest on a pod, and we kind of talked about that strategy a little bit on. As long as when you get done, and hopefully especially if you're in our community, we preach the reviewing your own process, reviewing your results, looking at the guys that did win. How did they win? Where did they get to? Was it even something you were on track to, or was it just something you're like, man, I never would have got there. I just got to take my loss. And sometimes that happens. Like I'll see stuff and the guys, I don't necessarily always look at the winner, because that's like, sometimes it's just such a unique build that I'll still look at like top 10, top 20 guys that put themselves in position. I do this a lot in golf. I'd be like, was I even in that thought process, or was I not? And like Henry, for me, it was like 100% a great play. I made the strategic move to fade him that week. So it was like, it's not, now what I got to do is like, what put me on the fade there? Was there a better fade? Stuff like that. And that was where you get into the deep dive, but it is what it is. You just got to make sure you're going through that process and understanding it, because you're going to lose way more times than you win on a click basis, meaning the amount of contests you get in. But the way DraftKings works, maybe not cash games. I'm more talking about GPPs. You could be down 30, 40% of your bankroll in the year and you win 1 GPP. All of a sudden you get an arm shot there, so it definitely helps, understanding your bankroll management and process and all that kind of stuff. So he's got an invite into the Listener League of Champions. Showain Bomber and JT Duncan finished second and third. They also got an invite. So top 3 this week will get an invite as well. We'll start getting that pool and prizes of what those guys can win put together after we get through the Masters, because we still got a little bit of time. We're going to do that either week 15 or 16, depending on the whole COVID schedule and what's going on. Ideally, it would be week 16, but want to make sure it's a good, fair slate for a lot of action in there. Sunday slate is now an 11-game slate, 7 early, 4 late. Last night was the Giants-Eagles. Sunday Night Football is now Seahawks-Cardinals, but it is included into the main slate. Like I said, it'll probably have its own showdown still and probably be a part of the prime time. Monday Night Football is Bears versus Rams. The Bucks Raiders are on the main slate. I have concerns whether that game gets played. Obviously, they had one lineman that was already fully COVID, and I think he's out. I was trying to read this morning again because I moved 4 other linemen. I think Abraham onto some type of COVID. What I didn't clarify yet is, was it they're there because they're going to do contact tracing and then test them and see, or are they out too? Because if they're out, 5 offensive linemen, I can't imagine. I don't know how they get that game played, but pay attention to that. I would have I added them into the conversation today as if the game was going to be played, but I would have, kind of a backup to some of those guys, because there's a lot of good offensive weapons there that we got to take into consideration. You definitely want to be prepared if they go ahead and play that game, but you also want to not put all your eggs in that basket or be left scrambling. I assume if they're going to cancel it, they'll cancel it or move it again, by probably later today or tomorrow, but we'll keep an eye on that. Obviously, we'll update at the Audible on Sunday morning. If you're new, I do the playbook. I go by each position, touch on injuries. I give you my play, fades, and values in each range. Values are getting harder and harder as the pricing seems to get tighter and tighter, which is good. I like it. Makes you think, gives you good strategy. I go through kind of my last 4 that were on the bubble, gut plays, some stacks, betting and contest information. Then we wrap it up. I try to be quick on this, 30, 35 minutes. Let you guys digest it quick. I know this market is saturated, so I want it to be kind of wham, bam, thank you, ma'am type of deal. Great information, great content, but I don't want to drag it out because I know we all don't have, a million hours to listen to a bunch of podcasts, and we want to grow this podcast as well. So injury concerns, really, it's just Darnold. He's questionable. I would lean that he's going to play, but he's not anywhere in it remotely someone I would play at all, so it doesn't really matter. But he's really the only quarterback I see on the slate that has any concern. My first play is Kyler. I'm going to go back there, sneak preview to later. I think they outright win this game, upset Seattle. Game totals, one of the highest, 56. The only one higher is Houston, Green Bay. Arizona's at home for whatever home field matters, but it does a little bit. 7,100, you just get a pretty decent discount from, like Russell Wilson, even Josh Allen. But yeah, you saw his upside. He's got tons of upside with the running, throwing it well. We know Seattle's D twofold. Seattle's D struggled at times would be an understatement, and Seattle's going to score. So you just got a potential shootout spot here that, then it comes down to, you want Kyler or Russell, or, do some with both. I could see that. I'm getting $900 savings, so I'd expect Kyler to be a little higher owned in the market, but I'm going to go Kyler. I'm not going to overthink this. I was big on him. That was a night I made money, whatever night I think they played Monday Night Football. So that Cowboys game, I made money that night. So that was good. Next is Josh Allen. If I'm going to pay up this week, and I'm talking 1 to 3 max up stuff, if you're doing a big GPP, I think you got to have Kyler and Russell. Because I just think they're both going to be high octane type plays. But if you're going to pay up, I would pay up for Allen. If I'm 1 to 3 max type deal, you're trying to do a bullet. He's showing half the ownership of Russell right now for me. $7,700. The Jets are just god awful. Their D has been okay at times, but and maybe I think there's twofold. His prices bring it down some, but also his recent play, the biasism of how good is he, yada yada. I've been against the Bills and him generally for the year, but I'm easily willing to, off of a bad performance, go back if no one's going to be there. I don't think much has changed in that situation. My one pause on why he was kind of my second tier play was, they can run the ball, and they're getting both running backs involved. The question is, do they pull away and they just continue to run it? Now, Allen can run it, but he's more of the scrambling type. Now he will, scavenge some touchdowns there on the goal line. So, or vulture some. So, I like him a lot. I would go Kyler for sure, number one, but I do like Allen this week, especially if he's going to be low owned. I think he gives you a good leverage play. Diggs could be a good play this week as well to pair him up with, or you could play him naked. I don't mind that either. He is kind of higher. So, I don't, which is why I think most will go to Russell. Cause if I'm going to go that high, I might as well pay $300 more to Russell. So I think that's a leverage spot / good play. My fade is Mahomes, and this is going to be strictly, so we're in Oklahoma right now. Yesterday afternoon, I was hitting some golf balls on the range. It was 85 degrees. Right now, the feel like is 33 here in Norman. So we've dropped 52 degrees in roughly 14, 15 hours. Denver is that and worse. So, and this is just the first kind of wave of this. There's a bigger wave coming in tomorrow night, which would be Saturday into Sunday. And the forecast for that game right now is I think a high of 20 degrees and 90% chance of snow showers. So this is a play on the weather. Not that I don't think he could do good or bad, or anybody in that game could do or bad. I just, at the price, I would rather take other plays than pay up for him and what could be just a terrible weathered game. Now, for some reason, that thing moves around. Obviously, he could come back into play. And there's some pieces in this game I would still like, but I'm not going to pay up for that where, could hinder them, especially if you got cold, snowy games, potentially low scoring, grind it out type stuff. I'm going to fade Mahomes. My value play and value guy, I'm trying at the quarterback, but they really tighten it up. Like the cheap guys are cheap for a reason. They're not really good values. They just aren't good at all very, very well. So, I'm going down to the low sixes, which is still saving you $1,000-ish, depending on sometimes $2,000 off, like Russell, $1,800, which I think is a pretty good savings. So I like Stafford this week. In general, I like the Lions going up against Atlanta. Atlanta showed some life last week. I like this kind of similar to what I said earlier. Atlanta can score, and they will probably score on Detroit, and Atlanta's defense isn't very good in general. And I think Stafford will sling it. We know he's king of kind of garbage time stats. Even if they get behind, he's still going to throw it. Galladay's back. First time I was on him last week. Looked good. I had plenty of Swift. I wish I'd have hyped him up a little more, but when you got that timeshare and he hadn't shown it, you don't want to, put too much out there, but I like Swift. I think this offense is going to start rolling. Hawkinson's in play. You can probably guess which one of my stacks is going to be, but 6,500, I'm getting a $1,500 savings off of Wilson, 1,200 off of Allen, and a game that I think will be high scoring in a shootout. So I like Stafford. My next one is Herbert against Jacksonville. We know Jacksonville's, D is not very good. 6,400. And I don't think he'll be very high owned per se, not compared to some of these others. We'll see how that works out. A little bit, you're favored by 9. They like to run the ball. I think if you go to Herbert, I think, and we'll talk about it Sunday morning, is where is the Jackson Kelly deal? Because that's a big situation. Is Jackson out? He's questionable right now. If he's out, I think they'll probably have to pass. They don't have the weapon. They're already without Eckler, so they'll have to pass more. And not rely so much on the run, in my opinion. Obviously, Jackson helps them in the passing game, so it's kind of a 6-1, half dozen the other. But in general, if I had to pick a second, like maybe a lower owned off the radar, I like Herbert, $6,400. Running back injury concerns, Henderson, Mozart, Eckler. Eckler is out and Mozart's out. Jackson, I just mentioned, is questionable. Kareem Hunt, questionable. Joe Mixon, questionable. McCaffrey is eligible to come back this week. All signs point to him not coming back this week and coming back next week. I guess keep an eye on it, because if he does come back late, maybe you can, try to play. I mean, he's expensive on the DraftKings. I don't think many would, but just mention it because he was technically eligible to come back week 7 from the IR. So my first play is Aaron Jones, the highest scoring game on the slate, running the rock well. Could see a shootout here per se. I don't know. I mean, it's just 3.5 point spread. So implied, team total for them is 30.25, going up against Houston. I actually think Green Bay probably plays well and probably beats that spread. It's one of the ones I'm looking at for Sunday card, but I like Aaron Jones in general. Jamal Williams can always kind of cherry pick some stuff off of him, and could be worth a look at, 4,000 if you think a shootout happens and Williams is more involved, but 7,200. He's just playing so good, and I'm not putting him in the McCaffrey or any of that where, he was up to, when McCaffrey was at his peak last year. I mean, he was 10-2. So you're getting like a $3,000. And I think Jones is getting that much involved. I think he's their guy. I mean, they're going to still play Williams at times to give him breathers, but I really like Jones this week going up against Houston. My next play is actually Ronald Jones now. I moved him in with them moving to the main slate. I think I guess the yet to be seen is when Fournette's fully back and healthy, does Jones go back at all? Because he's been playing extremely well, been a workhorse, great market share. And I don't know why they would go away from that. I know Fournette will get some carries for sure, but I still think Jones is the workhorse. Obviously, going to have to keep an eye on whether that game happens or not. But at his price, I like him. I'll take him this week. My fade's going to be Henry. That probably doesn't sound very smart right now. Pittsburgh's got a great run D, and I don't know that I want to pay $7,500 for a guy that, I don't want to say he's not going to get 200 yards and 2 touchdowns or anything like that. But, if there is a worse matchup, I don't know who it is, but Pittsburgh's going to stop the run. They're going to make Tannehill beat them, which could put Tannehill in play this week. And I think Henry gets his. Like 2 weeks ago, he only had 56 yards and 2 touchdowns. When you look at fantasy points, he looks like, he did well, but touchdown dependent that game. Last game, he just went off. Not a great D by any means. Pittsburgh's a much better D on that. I think Pittsburgh bottles them up and forces Tannehill to get involved in that game. They should. Everybody should every week, but Pittsburgh actually has the skill set and the defense to do so. Second worst run matchup on the slate for me as far as it goes. So I'm going to fade Henry at $7,500. I'd rather go elsewhere this week if I'm going to spend that much money. First value is Drake. I do want to see if he gets a little chalky. That big run at the end of the game maybe fired him up or got people to think, now he's going to be involved, but the price tag is just too good in this matchup. $4,800. And you could play Edmonds, especially if you think it's a passing shootout type game, which it probably could be. He's actually $100 more, $4,900. I mean, Drake's good. I think he's going to be a part of this offense. I don't think he's ever going to be dominant market share type guy, but the pricing is what's getting me. And he'll probably be not chalky, but he'll be up above 10% for sure. I'm just going to play him. I mean, I just think he's a good play, 4,800. I don't have to have what he had last week. Seattle's defense just isn't, I just don't think they're that good. So I want as many pieces as I can get. I wouldn't say you could play Drake and Edmonds. That's probably getting a little too cute, but in the same lineup, I think you could play on both in your pool and be fine there. I don't know. I'd put them in the same lineup, but certain that'd be a way to get unique, no doubt. But and they'll be there'll be the Sunday night game. So when I write my showdown article, you could play them both in your lineup there and be different. But for the main slate that they'll also be on, it's going to be confusing once we get to Sunday. I definitely like him $4,800. My next value, the guy I want to talk about is Swift. I like Swift. I think he's going to eventually take over. I can't stand the coach because he coaches like Belichick. That's where he came from. You never know what they're going to do at running back. The dude was a monster last week, and he still didn't get near the carries that he should have. And that's what worries me. But $5,400, fairly cheap. And, I like that. I like the game and the script. So I like him. The other I went with a 2B type value would be keep an eye on Kelly Jackson, because I think I like Jackson in general. If he plays and if he's healthy, he's 4,900. Kelly's actually 5,100, and if Jackson's out, I think that boosts Kelly some. But I think Kelly could actually have a pretty good game, even with Jackson in there, because you got to think Jackson's playing more of the Eckler role. Kelly's playing more of the Melvin Gordon role. He's $200 more. He's probably going to be half or a third of the ownership that Jackson is, if Jackson's healthy. And Kelly could bust out a couple big runs and kind of, especially if you play Herbert, that could be a unique way. Not that you have to get cute with the Chargers no matter what, but I would keep an eye on that health situation. That could possibly be some value there. That nothing to go crazy on to be all in, but that's certainly something I'm gonna keep an eye on. I'll talk about Sunday morning on the Audible. Wide receivers, per usual this year, a slew of them. Most of these guys are going to play. I don't know if this is just a thing. I wish they bring back probable, and we just wouldn't even have to look at some of these guys. But most of these guys played last week. They're fine. They're just back on the question for whatever reason. A.J. Brown, Landry, Michael Thomas is questionable with a new injury, a hammy. We'll get to that in a second. Hopkins, Edelman, Shenault, Chark, Godwin, Evans, both played last week. Crowder, Julio, Ridley, both played last week. Marvin Jones, John Brown. Watkins did get injured in the game last week. Keep an eye on that. We know he's prone to injuries. I don't think he's really on my game plan with that whole Chiefs situation. And then Allen. Those are all the questionables at wide receiver. My first play, I'm going right back to the well with Golladay. Great matchup against Atlanta, $6,700. I don't think he's going to be one of the highest. He'll probably be top quarter, top 25% on, probably 9 to 11%. Love Golladay, especially if you go Stafford as a value play up there. Good way to start stacking. Devontae Adams, it's just great matchup again against Houston, probably the best matchup of the week. Him and Hopkins, it was a coin flip to me. Very tough on which one I want to go. I'm saving $300. It's tough. And I think if you have Kyler, you go Hopkins as far as if you're going to do that. If you're not playing Kyler, maybe you go Adams. I'll talk about a scenario I think you could do in a second, but I like Adams, no doubt. I do like Hopkins as well, but Adams is my official second play. My fade is Tyreek Hill, same reasons. If I take pieces in this game, it would be like Kelsey, short passes. If it's going to be snowy, terrible, weather, I want the short stuff. So, Clyde, CEH would be in play for me. Kelsey would be in play for me, stuff like that. Hill could break because he could get a short pass and take it, but he's much more the deep threat in my opinion. So I'm going to fade Hill at $6,400. My value is Traquan Smith. I don't think Michael Thomas plays. If he does, I don't like hamstring problems with wide receivers, especially explosive wide receivers, because they could start and be out quick. Traquan's been doing well. He's going to move up massively in my rankings from my original to what I'll put out come Sunday or late tomorrow, probably. I like him a lot. Even if Michael Thomas plays, I still think Traquan at $4,000 is in play. Carolina's not very good. We know Kamara is going to get his, but that's something to keep an eye on. At $4,000 though, I think it's a good one-off play right now. Obviously Emmanuel Sanders is could be right there. as an option as well. But I'm going to go Traquan at 4,000. And then, so I think you could do, my second value is Kirk. And I think Kirk's getting more healthy. I played him. He was actually my captain in one of my lineups Monday night. And now he's still just $4,900. So in that type of game, a lot of people play Hopkins. I think you could go Kyler, Kirk, and then play Adams. So you're still getting the Arizona piece. You're saving $300 off Hopkins. Hopkins could get his, certainly, and probably will, but Kirk could still do well. And that's a little bit of a different build and getting the same upside to me. If you wanted to do that, you could certainly go Kyler and Hopkins, and I wouldn't hate that at all. But I think Kirk's getting more and more involved in this offense. Kyler trusts him. They got him involved in jet sweep the other day. They're getting him involved in many different ways. So I like that a lot. And that price tag seems too cheap to me in that game. He'll probably be higher owned for sure, but I like Christian Kirk. Tight end injuries, Higbee questionable, Gronk questionable, Tanyan questionable. Gronk, I think, is fine. He lives on the questionable. Higbee, I'm not 100% sure. Tanyan's kind of a newer one, but he did go back into the game, so I'm not too worried about it. My play, now that he's on the slate, is going to be Gronk. I think it's a great matchup. The Raiders give up, pretty good matchup against tight ends. So I think the tight ends have a good advantage there. He's $4,600. I'm not going to overthink that. I played him some last week. Ryan was on him last week. And maybe he's coming, kind of getting back to his old self. My fade's going to be Kettle, $6,500. If I was going to pay up this week, I'd go Kelsey because I think he'll be highly involved in that game plan. And Belichick loves to take your best piece away. And I think he's going to look at the Monday night or the game with the San Francisco and go, Kettle's one of their best pieces. I'm going to scheme him out. I'm not going to let Kettle beat me. So I never like targeting an obvious best person on a team versus a Belichick defense. So that's the reason why I say Kettle, and I'd pay $200 less for Kelsey if I was going to pay up this week. Value, I like Noah Fant, same deal, ugly game. Lock, and I think Fant's back. Last week I thought he was going to play, and he wound up he's inactive. Locke loves him, and again, short game, going to be snowy. He's in that same Kansas City game. Weather, could be looking at him a lot, get a lot of PPR type targets. I don't think he'll be high owned coming off all these injuries and stuff, 2%, 3%. So a good value there play. And then if Jordan Akins plays, keep an eye on that. He's only $3,200. I know Darren Fells has been doing decent, but I think Akins is the guy if he's healthy. He's just been banged up. So keep an eye on that situation as we get to Sunday. That could be a good filler piece in that somewhat chalky game of Houston, Green Bay. Defenses, this is pretty easy to me this week. There's really two that I'm probably going to play. If I want to pay up, I'm probably going to play the Bills. The Jets are that god-awful. That's a lot of money, $4,700. I'll be interested to see how many people actually go that route. And my pay down is going to be the Browns. So they still got a good D. They'll pressure the quarterback against Cincinnati, rookie quarterback. $2,800 is really, it's not that I need a lot from the Browns there. It's just that's a cheap price for a defensive front that I think could put pressure on Burrow. So there's some other decent options in there. You could go Washington if you think Dalton continues to struggle. $2,500. They got a good D line. That would probably be another value type I'd look at. Maybe, and that's pretty much it. I mean, there's not much. You could try to pick something out of that snow game if you think some turnovers there between the Chiefs, Broncos. Chiefs are obviously a lot higher, so Broncos, it could be a cheaper play. Something to keep an eye on as we get closer to Sunday and see how that weather's going to look. My last four out, kind of gut plays. Godwin, now he's on the slate. I like him. I've been playing him obviously a lot when he's healthy, and I just think he's due for. I hate the word due. I think he has the upside of a high game, especially against the Raiders. So I like Godwin, and I like Ruggs. Cheap option in that game. We know he can break the top off of defense. Oakland's or Las Vegas is going to have to be playing from behind more than likely if they make it to this game. So I like Ruggs. Running back, I like Chris Carson in the last four out. Kind of not chalky, but he's top 7-ish on the slate in ownership. So that's the only reason it kind of kept me off him is I don't want to get too much chalk in that game. And I'd rather play the Kyler or Hopkins or Metcalf type, which my last play in this last four out is Metcalf. But I think he's a solid play against Arizona. So, potentially maybe a cash play. I'll be interested to see where Ryan goes there. $6,400, great matchup against the Cardinals. I like Carson, good hard runner, and I like Metcalf. Keep an eye on Metcalf and Lockett's ownership. Right now, I got him about even. Metcalf $600 more, so maybe Lockett gets a hair more ownership when people start actually clicking the buttons, quote unquote. But I like Metcalf. I think he could have a big game against Arizona, and I think that game is going to just be a shootout. So it's hard to fade a game like that because if it goes off as expected, there's so many people going to be playing it. The biggest deal is to try to get as many unique pieces in there, low-owned pieces that make you a little bit different, give you a little bit of an edge. Maybe you're playing that game and you somehow try to get, the Bills in there because who's going to pay $4,700 for a D when they're playing that stacked up game? I don't know. There's some running back pieces we mentioned earlier, value ones that you could get in there. They're going to be 4, 5, 8%. Try to give you a little bit different build. We'll talk more about that as we get to, all the deep dive over the weekend. Stack attack. Obviously, my favorite stack is going to be Cards, Seahawks, game stack that. Many different options there you can go. I've mentioned them all. I like the Lions. So I like Stafford, Swift, Galladay, Hawkinson. I think you could mix and match those. If Marvin Jones is healthy, you could throw him in there. And you could run it back with a Ridley or a Julio type, from Atlanta. So definitely, Lions with a run it back. Probably lean Ridley a little bit. Julio had the big game last week. And then my sleeper kind of stack, I added a third a few weeks ago, would be the Chargers. I don't think many people are going to go heavy on that game. So, Herbert, watch the running back position. And Keenan Allen's my third rated wide receiver overall, $6,200. I think you could mini small stack that and still get good pieces of some of either the Green Bay, Houston, or Arizona, Seattle game for sure. Betting contest, in my opinion, if everything holds up, the Bucks are on the contest at 3.5. That's the official line. And it won't move. It never does. It's how the super contest does it as well. And if they play that game and they are down X amount of guys, I think that's almost a square, free square type bet. So, if that game goes off as is, that'd be one I play. Keep an eye on it, though, because if you play it and they don't play it this week, it counts as a loss, even if you're in the super contest as well. So keep an eye on that. If they postpone it or move it, obviously you can change up until before it locks on Sunday at noon or 1 Eastern. My second play is the Patriots -2. I like Belichick in this spot, bounce back spot for them at home. Everybody's down on them. They look like garbage. Probably one of my favorite plays of the week. Pats -2. Free bet of the week for you guys. My upset of the week, dog of the week, outright winner. I mentioned it earlier. I'm going Arizona to beat the Seahawks on Sunday night. I actually enhanced my play going to Sunday night because I like Kyler under the lights. I mentioned that a lot in my article last week on Monday night. He likes to show up in that. Go check out my Twitter. I retweeted his YouTube deal they did on him from high school. And I don't think many people understand how good he was in high school. A lot say the greatest high school player ever. Lean for survivor picks, pretty easy this week. I think you take the Bills, Chargers, or Rams. That's just where I'd be. I'd be one of those three. Chargers probably my least favorite. If you don't have the Bills or Rams, if you have the Bills or Rams, that's probably where I'd go. Bills obviously being my favorite. If you haven't used it yet against the Jets, I think they win that game pretty easily. As always, join me Sunday morning, 9 o'clock or 10 Eastern, 9 o'clock for the Audible. Going earlier, you guys voted on that. It's done well. I've had some great conversations in there. Last Sunday was terrific. A lot of strategy talk. I tell people that you don't have to ask about this slate in general. You guys can ask general theory, process, stuff like that, because that gets my wheels rolling as I get prepared. You can fire the questions in there early too. I told a couple guys I'm never around Wednesday afternoon to put questions in for the E9. I was like, you put them in there, like they're going to stay for a few days. Now we obviously cycle through them, but I was like, they'll be in there. You put them in there as soon as you think of it. Go, hashtag live chat questions, and they're in there. So get in there. We'll see you then. Going to be an exciting weekend. A lot of moving pieces, a lot of action. Got the great UFC card. Didn't even mention that tomorrow. Going to be a hell of a fight. I don't really like that that's in the middle of the day versus college football, but that's why we got 3 TVs in the living room on the weekends. And Tommy's been doing a great job with that as well. So looking forward to the action-packed weekend starting tonight with baseball, college football, UFC, more baseball, NFL, golf, showdown. I mean, it's all over the place. You know, from where we were in May, April, May, watching replays of old games. It's, be appreciative to have this. It's an exciting time to have it, and the community is as strong as ever. Last time, remember, use the code MASTERS, 30% off any monthly or annual package, and get into the rare drawing for the Scotty Cameron putter. I will see you guys Sunday morning. Have a blessed day and a great weekend. Thank you.